My friends, before I open my heart today, let me pause and ask you something deeply personal. I want to pause and ask you something from the bottom of my heart. Please share your city and your time zone down in the comments, because I want to know where in the world you're watching from. Whether you're in New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, Dallas, London, Manchester, or anywhere across the world. Because what I'm about to tell you is not just a story. It is a mirror of real life. It could happen to anyone, and maybe it has already happened to you or someone you know. And I want you to walk this journey with me until the very end, because there's a shocking twist waiting that will break your heart and open your eyes, a twist that still makes me wake up at night with tears rolling down my face. My name is Richard. I am 67 years old, a retired postal worker from Ohio. And for my whole life, I worked overtime shifts, delivered mail in snowstorms, and lived simply so that one day my only son Michael would inherit a house free of debt, a decent retirement fund, and a name to be proud of. But little did I know, my own flesh and blood, the boy whose first smartphone I bought, whose college I paid for, whose Tesla I co-signed when he claimed it would make him look professional, would one day try to kill me for the very inheritance I sacrificed everything to build. Now listen, before you think this is just another bad kid story, let me assure you, this is not about a stranger breaking in. This is about betrayal from inside your own bloodline. And I want you to pay attention, because maybe in your own family you've seen warning signs. Entitlement, arrogance, disrespect, small lies that grow into something monstrous. I still remember the first sign. It was a Sunday afternoon, and I was in the living room setting up my new Amazon Echo device, trying to connect it to the Wi-Fi, while Michael scrolled endlessly on his iPhone 14 Pro, barely looking at me. When I asked him for help, he sighed loudly and muttered, "Dad, you'll never understand tech. Why don't you just leave it?" It stung me because I realized at that moment he didn't see me as his father anymore, just as an old man in the way of his ambitions. But I brushed it off, thinking maybe it's just the stress of his job at the law firm. Oh, yes. He was a junior associate at a prestigious firm in Cleveland, working long hours, driving his Tesla, wearing Apple Watch and tailored suits, the perfect picture of success. I thought I raised a winner. But what I didn't see was that all along, he was calculating, waiting for his moment to cut me out. Friends, let me stop here and ask you, have you ever felt disrespected by your own children? If yes, drop a comment and tell me, because sometimes the smallest disrespect is the seed of something darker. My first big shock came when I overheard him on a late-night call. I was upstairs in bed, and my Nest Smart Thermostat app showed me the heat had dropped suddenly, so I walked down to adjust it manually. That's when I heard his voice in the kitchen. He was talking to his wife, whispering, "Once Dad's out of the way, the house is ours. The retirement account is ours." He's too stubborn to sign anything, but accidents happen. My heart stopped. I froze behind the wall, clutching my phone, not believing what I was hearing. My son, the same boy I once carried on my shoulders at Cleveland Browns game, plotting my death like I was a stranger. I barely slept that night, and in the morning I confronted him casually about money, just to test his reaction. His eyes flickered, and he snapped, "Maybe it's time you started trusting me with your accounts, Dad." That was confirmation enough. Still, I was torn. Was this paranoia or reality? Parents, tell me honestly, if you heard your child talking like this, would you ignore it, or would you prepare for the worst? Comment below, because I need to know if I was foolish or hoping he would change. Days later, the attack came. Michael suggested we go hiking near Cuyahoga Valley, saying fresh air would do me good. He drove his shiny Tesla, while I carried my old backpack. I thought maybe he was trying to reconnect. But deep in the trail, on a cliffside where no one was around, he suddenly shoved me hard. I lost balance and went tumbling. I thought I was dead, but by some miracle, I grabbed onto a tree root sticking out a cliff and screamed with everything in me. My Fitbit smartwatch detected my heartbeat spiking and automatically dialed 911 through my iPhone emergency contact. That device saved my life. Paramedics came, lifted me out, and Michael acted shocked, pretending it was all an accident, saying, "Dad tripped." But I knew. Oh, I knew. At the hospital, lying in a bed hooked to machines, I stared at my ceiling and felt two things: unbearable pain from my broken ribs, and even deeper pain of betrayal. The law required me to make a statement, and I was torn. Should I press charges against my only son, or should I forgive and hope for change? What would you do if you were me? Tell me in the comments, because even now, I question if my choice was right. And please, if you're still listening, don't forget to subscribe, because these are not just stories. They are lessons from life, and the more you stay connected, the stronger we all become against betrayal. As I lay in that hospital bed with broken ribs and tubes in my arms, the doctors kept telling me I was lucky to be alive, but I didn't feel lucky. I felt like the loneliest man on earth, betrayed by the very son I had once cradled in my arms. And here's where I want to pause and talk to you directly again. Tell me honestly, if your own blood betrayed you for money, would you forgive in the name of love, or would you seek revenge in the name of justice? Write it in the comments right now, because your perspective might help someone else facing the same crossroads. I couldn't sleep for nights, and in those sleepless hours, I kept staring at the ceiling, replaying everything I had done as a father. I thought about the times I skipped his school plays because I worked overtime shifts, the times I bought him expensive gadgets instead of spending quality time, the way I assumed money and sacrifice would earn his love. Maybe I was blind. Maybe I failed him as much as he failed me. Parents, let this be a lesson. Raising a child is not just about paying bills and college tuition. It's about building friendship, trust, and respect. If you don't plant love and values early, don't be surprised if greed takes over later. Still, guilt aside, I knew I couldn't let him walk free. Because what if he tried again? The law in Ohio required me to make a sworn statement. I used my iPhone to secretly record his next conversation when he came to visit me in the hospital. He leaned close and whispered, "Dad, you need to change your will before something else happens. Just make it easy." That was the smoking gun. With that recording saved in my iCloud, I called the police and played it back. They opened an investigation immediately. Michael denied everything, hired a slick defense attorney for his firm, and even accused me of being senile and delusional, trying to paint me as an old man losing his mind. That cut deeper than the broken ribs. To defend myself, I had to use every piece of modern tech at my disposal. My Nest doorbell camera caught him snooping around my house when I was hospitalized. My bank app showed failed attempt to log into my account from his MacBook. The police pulled data from my Fitbit showing the exact time my heart rate spiked on the hiking trail, proving it wasn't just a trip. Piece by piece, technology became my shield, my witness, my partner in revenge. Still, it wasn't just about evidence. It was about confronting him. I'll never forget the day we faced each other in court. He sat there in a crisp suit, pretending to be the victim. But when I stood and told the jury how my own son tried to end my life, you could hear a pin drop. My voice cracked, tears rolled down my cheeks, but I didn't hide them, because pain is not weakness, it's truth. And that truth saved me. The jury convicted him of attempted murder and fraud. The judge, quoting Ohio state law, sentenced him to 20 years. And yet, as they put the cuffs on him, I didn't feel victory. I felt emptiness. Let me stop here and ask you, do you think revenge ever truly heals a heart? Or does it just close one wound while opening another? I want to hear your wisdom in the comments, because maybe you've lived through something like this yourself. Today, I live alone in the same house I built with my hands. The inheritance I once saved for my son now sits untouched. I changed my will to leave it to charity, because if my blood doesn't value my sweat, then maybe strangers in need will. Sometimes at night, when my Amazon Alexa reads me the news, I wonder if I made mistakes as a father, if I should have been softer, more patient, less consumed by work. Maybe if I had talked to him more, loved him differently, things would be different. But then I remember the shove, the cliff, the look in his eyes, and I know evil sometimes grows even in the soil of love. Friends, let this story be a warning. Don't ignore the little red flags in your family. Don't assume inheritance brings gratitude. It can awaken greed darker than you can imagine. And please, if my story touched your heart, subscribe to this channel. Share it with your friends, because these true stories are not just entertainment. They are lifelines, reminders, and lessons. Every subscription keeps us connected, and every comment gives strength to those who feel alone in their battles. As I close this chapter of my life, I'll leave you with one last quote that carried me through. Sometimes blood makes you related, but loyalty makes you family. Think about that, and never be afraid to cut off betrayal, even if it comes from the one you gave life to.